Picture a bustling wooden dock in Santa Barbara in 1853. A lone woman steps off a boat, completely alien to the locals surrounding her. She is wearing a thick, heavy dress sewn entirely out of dark cormorant feathers and raw animal hides. She is known today as Juana Maria. Up until this moment, she had accomplished an absolute physical marvel, surviving completely alone on a desolate, windswept island for 18 straight years. And she arrived on the mainland in perfect physical health. Yet, exactly 7 weeks after being successfully rescued and integrated into modern society, she was dead. She didn't die of starvation. She didn't freeze. She had already proven she was immune to the psychological weight of total isolation, which leaves us with a stark biological mystery. What exactly kills a master survivor sitting safely in a comfortable home? To find the cause of her death, we have to work backward. We need to reverse engineer the extreme biological and psychological adaptations that kept her alive in the wild in the first place. This is an aerial view of San Nicolas Island, located roughly 100 kilometers off the coast of California. For centuries, its rocky, isolated geography was home to the Nicoleño tribe. Their quiet, centuries-old existence was suddenly shattered in the early 1800s. Russian commercial otter hunters arrived in the region. What began as an invasion to harvest local sea life escalated into a brutal massacre, decimating the Nicoleño population down to just a few hundred survivors. Looking at this historical image of a Franciscan mission, you get a sense of the organizations operating in California at the time. In 1835, these missionaries organized an evacuation of the remaining Nicoleño people aboard a Mexican ship called the Peor. During the chaotic boarding process, a massive storm began to brew. Fearing the ship would be torn apart against the rocks, the crew fled prematurely. Juana Maria was left entirely alone on the shore. The departure of that ship created a total vacuum. In a matter of minutes, she went from living in a highly interdependent community to a population of one. San Nicolas is an incredibly unforgiving environment. It offers almost zero natural shelter, no dense forests to hide in, and it gets battered daily by punishing coastal winds. To counter the wind, she became an architect. She hauled massive, discarded whale bones up the beaches, interwoven with scattered driftwood, to construct a heavy, weatherproof shelter capable of withstanding the ocean gales. You can see the harsh nature of the island in this dark, rugged coastal rock. This is exactly the kind of treacherous shoreline she navigated every day, foraging for abalone shellfish and hunting the local seals and birds to maintain a high-protein diet. Without access to woven cloth, she extracted sinews from the seals she hunted. Using these animal fibers as thread, she sewed together the wind-blocking garments out of feathers and skins that she would wear for the next 2 decades. She successfully synchronized her daily existence with the island's extreme biome, maintaining a level of structural and material complexity usually reserved for entire communities. Beyond the physical search for calories, Juana Maria faced the psychological pressure of 18 years of absolute silence. Without human interaction, the brain begins to restructure, often leading to total mental collapse. She solved this by keeping her culture alive through repetition. She sang her tribe's songs, carved designs into wood, and maintained her people's old rituals, treating the island as if it were still populated. In 1853, a ship led by an otter hunter named Captain George Nidever anchored off San Nicolas. Hearing rumors of a solitary woman living on the island, his crew began an intensive search of the dunes and brush. When the crew finally located her camp, Juana Maria met them without panic. She simply offered the sailors a portion of roasted wild onions, using food as a bridge to communicate her intent to cooperate. As the crew prepared to leave, she sang one final song. A Native American member of Nidever's crew recognized the specific melody and rhythm. Translated, the song carried a very clear message. She was finally ready to go. Her mind had endured nearly 2 decades of solitude, specifically because she anchored herself to a phantom culture. She kept the ghost of her tribe alive just long enough for the real world to return for her. The initial transition seemed successful. Brought to Santa Barbara, she was taken in by the Nidever family. She was given modern clothing, safely housed, and happily interacted with the curious locals despite the language barrier. But inside her body, a biological clock was ticking. Within weeks, she experienced a catastrophic failure of both her digestive and immune systems. This split-screen animation illustrates exactly what went wrong. On the left, you see her adapted digestive system, perfectly tuned over 18 years to process nothing but raw marine proteins, wild plants, and lean meat. On the right is what happens when that specialized system is suddenly overloaded with the rich, unfamiliar carbohydrates and complex fats of an 1850s diet. Her gut biome rapidly failed, creating a physiological shock her body couldn't process. Though her time on the mainland was short, her legacy remained intact. Her 18 years of grit and resourcefulness directly inspired the classic historical novel Island of the Blue Dolphins, cementing her story in history. Juana Maria had conquered the most unforgiving wild environment on the Pacific coast. Ultimately, her biological system collapsed under the weight of the very